All right, what's going on in Love with Horror? Your destination for all thing horror, right here, y'all. On this discussion, we'll be talking about indie horror, and we got a guest on this video to talk to us all about indie horror. His name is Tyrone Williams. You might know him as TheEvolTyrone. He's a horror writer and content creator. He loves having conversation with folks from different backgrounds all around the world, talking about our love for horror. So, Tyrone, if you don't mind, go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to our audience.
Oh yeah, my name is Tyrone. I'm very very happy to be here. Beeps in the background, but I'm very very happy to be here. The Evil Live.
It's all good.
I host a show where I talk to a host of people, a group of people about our love for the genre, and just basically going in depth, getting to know people through the lens of horror, and it's just fun, chill, relaxed conversations. It's pretty much like my passion. I find it's the most fun that I have, like throughout the day. Like even uh, you know, more fun than interacting with the outside world,
Yeah.
Right.
even though it
Yeah.
is social interaction, but it's just like I feel like you grow up and you it's kind of sometimes it's hard to find like people to relate to
Yeah.
some of the things that you're fond of or whatever. So, I started this, and it's been fun so far. I think this is like the second year that I've been doing this or whatever. So, it's just been fun, and meeting folks like you guys. Like it's
Right.
just it's definitely a dream come true, So I'm happy to be here. The in love with horror podcast, like, whoever's listening right now, you guys don't know just how good you have it, just being able to pop this in your ears right now.
Mhm.
That's right.
Yes. I just want to say I do enjoy your shows. Like I can't make them all because, kids, but I do try to pop in and the conversations are always insane. It's never what you think it's going to be.
Right.
It always goes left at some point, but it's so fun, so entertaining. And I learn a lot of times, like
Right.
movies I might have never heard of or whatever. Like I'm always learning something from your conversation. So I definitely appreciate the mark you are making in the corner of the
Yeah.
horror community.
Oh,
Yeah, and the
thank you.
conversations are always fun, y'all.
They
That's
are.
like that's a big piece right there, man.
Yes.
Which I think is cool because like it keeps it light, like like any subject, any topic, or anything can be
Yeah.
approached, and it's all welcome. It's all conversation. It's all in having a good time and just coming together. So
Yeah,
that's super dope.
for sure.
Oh yeah, thank
Love
you.
it.
I appreciate that. I try, sometimes we can go deep, but I try and, keep it fun. I try and make sure that my viewers and my guests are having a good time, especially because so much stuff going on in the world right now. So I'm
Absolutely.
like,
That's right.
you cut on the Evil Live, and it's just nothing but fun, and sometimes it gets a little out of pocket, but
Yeah.
we make it. We make it through. Make it.
Yes. Love
Yeah,
it.
well, look, man, we appreciate you coming on here to
Yes.
discuss this topic with us, man. Like, we're real grateful for to have you on here because I mean, I think you were one of the first people that interviewed us when we was
Yes.
first getting started. Building
Yes.
this thing up. We still building. Still in the
Yeah.
build phase. But I mean, so we appreciate you.
Yes.
Sharing us initially when we were just starting out with your audience. So, we're grateful for
Oh
that for
yeah.
sure.
Well, I love finding people in the beginning stages, just before the fire is lit, and they got a million followers and everything. It's just some magic about it, especially when they're black,
That's
because
right.
Yes.
it's just and of color or of color, any iteration, because there wasn't a lot of that representation, growing
Yep.
up. And even when YouTube was first on the scene, and we started seeing content creators do movie reviews and horror reviews, like you have to
Yeah.
literally scroll all the way down, to find us,
That's
and
right.
so that's
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, we have to amplify ourselves, amplify each other, and uplift each other. And we're, at the end of the day, we all like the same stuff. We all like the same stuff,
Yep.
you know
Yeah.
so Yeah. So can we cuss on here? I don't know. I didn't look.
Go
Oh yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Let
You
me
yeah.
know.
good?
This
Okay.
one right
All
here,
right. All
I'll
right. Yeah.
tell you. Yeah, no, it's all good here.
It's usually
Yeah.
me, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to let something slip out and then be like, oh no. Well, you guys said this is
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah. No,
you
you
good.
good. Yeah, you good,
Yeah.
man. You good. Yep. Now, so again, this topic is all about indie horror, right? That's something that sparks a lot of discussion within the horror community, and so we wanted to have that discussion, but we really wanted to have you on so you could weigh in on it, especially being a horror writer and a lover of indie horror. So, just wanted to start off kind of like, what are your thoughts on indie horror?
I think indie horror is definitely an important aspect to the genre, especially because when you have indie, you have people that aren't necessarily playing by the rules. You have people that are coming at things from different angles. Sometimes it's definitely hard for them to express themselves or break out like the other big names who have like the big studios behind them,
Yeah.
especially because sometimes we're programmed to a certain extent to not look for, well, the majority of us to not look for, certain things if the camera isn't of a certain quality or the sound isn't of a certain quality or, the lighting is different from what we're used to seeing on, the main stage, something that would be on an HBO or, something on the big
Right.
screen,
Yep.
So I definitely think it's something that is definitely needed. And, sometimes which is a lot what we're seeing now. We're seeing indie horror change the game and end up, being blockbusters, which is it's a beautiful time to be a horror fan.
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
really is.
Yeah. They definitely have that uh angle of pushing the boundaries. And that's what I really like cuz it's not one dimensional. It can be
Hmm.
all kinds of different aspects that come out of indie horror creation. And then you see like people who might be watching like I guess more specifically talking about Rock Rocka that may talk to me like,
Yep.
people that you just normally watch on YouTube or something like that and they come out with this mega hit and it's just like, yes, like you just so excited about that because it kind of lets you know too, like if I wanted to create something, I can do that. And
Yes.
it's not limiting
Right.
where I feel like that's the power behind indie horror.
Exactly. And another big thing too, especially for me, like, of course, indie horror allows you to do the more controversial stuff, right?
True.
Like, look at like the Terrifiers where the gore level
Yeah.
is off the charts, right? But it's not limited to that, right? Because a lot of
Mhm.
times people just look at it as like, oh, these are like gore fests and things like that.
Yeah.
Usually the concepts
Yeah.
are, what can also be either like bizarre or just different or outside the box, just in the concept itself. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like
Yeah.
think about like things like I remember that you remember that, I don't know if you watched it or not, like the movie The Void.
I never seen that.
Yeah. Have you seen that film?
You know what? It's on my list. It's on my watch list. I have never
Oh,
seen The
okay.
Void.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like stuff like where it's like it's outside the box. Sometimes it deals with like cosmic horror, things like that. But
Mhm.
that's a big piece for me.
It's not the one that was at the hospital.
Yeah, I think there's a portion of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Maybe I may have seen
you
it
might have
then.
saw it then. Yeah,
I just
yeah.
don't remember it that well.
Yeah, but piggybacking off of you too, about you saying anybody can do it. Like, you don't need a big budget to make something that can change the whole game. And we'll get into that when we start talking about, our favorite indie horrors. Because I got one that was made for the low low, and it changed the game.
Yeah,
But yeah, indie horror, man, like it's something special.
it is.
It's something special. Now, so let's dive into that, right? Let's dive into kind of like our favorite indie horror. 'Cause I feel like that's going to allow us to kind of spark that conversation to get into, what makes indie horror as good as it is. So I'm gonna start with you, Tyrone, you being our guest. What would you say is your like top tier favorite indie horror film?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a saucy question, especially because it changes over time, man. It changes over
Yeah.
time. Like I think growing, well, like maybe if you would ask me like 10 years ago, it might have been something like a high tension,
Okay,
where
yeah.
they definitely push the boundaries and change some rules, with the, especially like with French Extreme, with French
Oh,
Extreme.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
but lately, if you were to ask me, like within the past like year, like this past year, Skinamarink, and I
yeah.
know it's controversial, but I
It's
grew up on
very.
Skinamarink, heavy, heavy, you know.
Yeah, even hey, look, even with just within us right here, like we two sides of that coin. Because I thought it was dope. Like I
Yeah.
I watched it in the theater. Like I thought it was when it first came out. I thought it was so dope. And then I was telling her about it, and I was like, "Oh, Kristie, like you gotta watch this. Like it's so different. It's crazy. Like it gets under your skin.
Yeah, it's
Like
different, all right.
yeah." And then she ended up watching. It won't for her. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't a fan, but Skinner, yeah, that is, and I said this when it came out. Like I felt like it was one of those moments where like it was going to potentially start like a new trend.
Mhm.
Like people
Yes.
seeing like how that was made, like the way it was presented, the way the story was told. Like I was like, man, like this is you don't see
The
it,
beginning.
but this is the beginning of something like real special.
See, we here with it, AJ.
Right, exactly.
Because when I saw that movie, I was like, okay, because there was all this hype around it and stuff like that, and I was like, what, let me wait until it comes on Shutter. I ain't trying to drive over the bridge to see this movie. Let me wait until it comes on Shutter. And then it finally released, and I sat in the dark, and I've had my headphones on, which I think is critical for some people's viewing experience. But it took me, like, I guess the way that it was shot, because a lot of people were criticizing it for just being like shadows and
Yep. Yep.
The wall.
filters,
Yep.
the walls. There's that wall again, but I guess it really took me. I was surprised at how the director took me to a place where I was when I was a child. Just afraid of being in a situation where I'm alone, and
Yep.
sometimes sometimes when you'll play with a kid, and then you'll act like you're possessed or a zombie, and the kid will just freak out, and they'll be like, oh my god, because
Mhm.
you I guess there's something super terrifying about like having the people that are there to protect you, not able to protect you or taken over by something, and it's I don't know, it just took me there. There was a lot going on, but by the time that movie ended, I kid you not, I literally I was so scared that I had to cut one light on and then walk to a certain point in the
Yep.
apartment, then cut another light on and cut that light off.
Yep.
And then I got in bed, and it was late, and my fiance, she was talking to me, and she was whispering, and I was like, stop whispering. 'Cause
Right.
that thing in the movie was whispering. Like it was just it affected me so much. It was so effective. And that's what we ask for. Like I don't ask for a perfect, film or a
Mhm.
perfect, viewing experience. I ask for, to be effective, for me to take away something from this movie, for me to think about it, whether it could be hours later or days later or months later. Like I
Right.
feel like
Yeah.
Skinamarink gave me one of those movie experiences where I felt like I was a child, and it's
Mhm.
dope that something in the horror genre can do that, similar to like The Dark Knight. Like when I see that truck flip, in The Dark Knight, like
Yep.
I lose it. I feel like a kid, but in
Yeah.
Skinamarink, like it took me back to feeling like a kid again, but it dug into that deep seated fear, that I
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so you hit on a big piece because you said wear the headphones. Now I watched it in the theater. It was stupid loud, so you could feel the rumbles, you could feel the bass, and like the whispering and everything made you on edge. Now see,
Okay, all right.
hey, look,
I know.
you already know what I'm gonna say. You watched it through the
I
TV.
know what you're gonna say.
She watched it with TV speakers. And I was like, that's the wrong way to do it. So I think she needs to rewatch it with headphones or with with the speaker system or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
But
just cut the lights out, headphones when the kids are asleep,
Yep.
just
Yeah,
vibe
that
out.
sounds like I definitely ain't gonna do
You're
that.
probably not gonna do it, but that's the way to experience it. But
Yeah,
yeah, Skinamarink was special because like it was, it's very rare that you go into a horror movie, and this is why indie horror is so beautiful. That you go into that film, and it was like it's nothing like you ever experienced. Like no one's ever told a story like this, presented it like this, the audio the way it was, like that was literally like the prime example, at least from this year, right? Where it's like this is why indie horror like is what it is. This is I know not for you, but for me, I was like, yo, this is different. It's on a different level.
Right. Yeah. I hear you.
You couldn't sell that to a main studio. Some things
Right.
Oh,
you
right.
just
Yeah.
know. And you can't go with you really can't sit down with a group of friends, to be honest, and I feel like, and enjoy this movie to its
True.
fullest, potential. You can't be sitting there and talking, like you're watching
Oh,
the
right,
night too, and talking, having a side conversation like, oh, you see this, you see that goat, you can't do that with
Yeah.
Skin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
exactly,
sure.
exactly. Now, all right, so Tyrone's, his favorite right now, the Skinamarink. So, baby, what's your favorite indie horror film?
Well, right now it's Talk to Me.
Okay, yeah.
That was a good ass movie. Like I had so much fun in this movie. Like, and there were some scary moments, but it was like creepy. It was like super creepy, and it doesn't take a lot to creep me out. But I feel like the way that it did it was just really creative and genius. And you just said about like that special recipe involves like telling a story differently. And I felt like they did that like 100% across the board. Like I have never seen a possession film like this.
Yeah.
And it was just chef's kiss to me. And this is another one that a lot of people are, have controversy about whether or not it's good or not. Specifically this man right here.
I gotta keep it real. Like I thought it was all right. I mean, I'm just keeping it a buck. Like I thought it was all right.
It's my top movie of the year, to be honest. Like I just
really,
I just gave When Evil Lurks a shot, and I really enjoyed it. But Talk to Me, nothing's knocking off Talk to Me right now.
Thank you. That was a really good movie. It was so much in there that I was like, gasp. I was like,
it don't take a lot to make you gasp. Though. Like every movie we watch, it can be like the smallest thing. You're freaking out about it.
Anyways, it was a lot more.
I'll be jumping sometimes, and there's nothing scary happening. It's her like jumping, and then I jump because I'm like, oh, what happened? And it's just like something passing the screen or something like that.
Anyways, I'm not gonna let you do me like that. Anyways, it was good. I thought it was really good. I personally didn't like the ending all that well, but
that was my issue with it personally.
But that was like 2%. The other 98% of the movie was exceptional to me. Like everything, visuals, like everything was just good to me. The performances. I don't care what nobody else say. That was a good movie.
What were your thoughts on it, Tyrone?
You know what? Talk to Me. I really like people. Again, it was another movie that people were hyping up, especially people who saw like super advanced screenings like months prior. They were like, "Yeah, this is it." So I walked in not really expecting much, but I feel like because I'm a sucker for like possession, and especially like demon possession and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm all about.
But what they did with the genre and the parallels to like drug use, with like teenagers and just mixing that in with like possession, I was just like, wow, this is what we need. Like if you're going to revisit a subgenre, you need to start giving us different takes on it, giving us different vantage points from this, and also it's black horror, had a black lead, and with her black dad and stuff like that. So I was just like, oh hell yeah, this is just kick ass. Like, and I do agree with you with AJ as far as the ending. Like it's not a perfect film. I think that they could have done a little something different with the ending, but I mean, in general, like nothing had me more giddy in the theater this year than than Talk to Me. And I thought, like, because
Yeah.
this year started off strong. Like, we had Megan at the top of the year, which I loved. But
That was a good
Talk
one.
to Me pretty much, knocked that one out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, I can agree. Like the concept of Talk to Me is so dope. Like, I like the characters, like you said, I like the parallel with drug use. I like it presented like, like the party scene for teenagers, but with this, possession hand. Like that was such a cool spin on, like they're at the party, they drinking or whatever, but now using this hand. That was super dope. But yeah, like the biggest thing for me was the ending. See, we had this conversation before, Kristie and I, where I said that like the ending can really like make or break a movie. And in fact, I mean, we seen that with we had a discussion about The Nun too. It was a little weak in the beginning parts, and you get to the end, and that junk get like anime mode. At least for me, the ending like hyped me up so much that I was like, dang, like it made the rest of the movie worth viewing to get to this point. And I guess for me, like Talk to Me, right? Like you got this incredible like opening into like the build up, and then you kind of get into that like 60% portion, to kind of 75% portion, to kind of like, oh, like I kind of don't really like the direction that they're going with it personally. And then just the ending kind of made it fall down a little bit for me, and that's what I'm saying. Like in my opinion, you can have a weaker start, but if you finish strong, like I don't know, to me it makes the package better.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you. Yep.
I mean, some endings. Well, I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, some endings just make a movie. For me, like Halloween H2O, that ending made that movie, even though they like retcons that that ending. But it just endings are important. They're very important, and I guess depending on how they execute them, sometimes it does destroy your viewing experience. You're like, damn,
Yeah.
like I loved it up to this part.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't like totally negate everything that happened.
Well, look, I never said.
Because you rated Talk to Me kind of low.
I think I gave it like somewhere around 2.5 to 3 stars.
He gave it 2.5 stars.
Like between 2.5 to 3, I think.
Just because he didn't like the ending.
It fell off. It fell off hard, in my opinion. Yeah.
That took off a lot.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that like last act for me, I was just kind of like,
that makes no sense to me.
Like I was just expecting it to go a different way, and I just didn't. I wasn't a fan of the story after that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like because I get what they were trying to do, with her mom and how she's getting played. Like I understand what they were trying to do. I just didn't like the way they did.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's such a low rating.
Do y'all got a letterbox?
Look, that's why I keep it real though. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever bandwagon.
What did you say, Tyrone?
Do you guys have a letterbox?
We don't use it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I was like, I be
telling him we should because our main problem is that we forget what we watched. And I was like, we need to start using it at least to know what we've seen.
Yeah.
But we do need to go back on using it. But I think we have our talk. Well, I put my Talk to Me rating on there. I gave it 4.5, I think.
We need to bring that down. We need to average our scores out.
That's the thing that would be interesting, because your rating would be like the average of
right.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I think I don't use it that much, because a lot of times we are nowhere near each other.
Yeah.
So it makes it hard. I'm like, okay, so what should we write in this review? Because I didn't like it, and you like, so it's hard.
That's what we do for like our ranked, because we ranked the Conjuring universe, we ranked all the Saw movies, and so what we do is we'll each rate it and then we'll average it out, and then that becomes like the In Love with Horror rating, and that's how we like rank movies. And so we'll probably start doing that on Letterboxd, like you said, but I'm gonna knock it down a little bit. Right? I'm gonna bring it down a little bit.
I think he's a little bit more critical. Speaking of, we just went to go watch It's a Wonderful Knife, right?
Oh, yep.
And I think for me, when it comes to like movies like that, I feel bad. I be feeling bad about not liking a movie when I know it's like a smaller team and it's not like a big studio, right? Like it's like I want to see these people win. I want to see them succeed, and I hate when I can't give them a good rating on something. I know it doesn't all rest on my shoulders, but that's how I be feeling. And like, I don't know. The ratings to me are so important. And so like, I don't know. It to me it's most important when it's small films like that. Or even talk to me like, even if I didn't love that movie, I was gonna hype the mess out of it because I wanted people to go watch it and support it.
Mhm.
So I mean, I don't know, that's just me. Like when it comes to small studios or small teams like this, like I'm gonna go hard. And it hurts my heart to my spirit if I'm like, dang, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And I'd be mad about it.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on that, Tyrone? Like when it comes to, especially when you know it's a smaller budget, smaller team, like do you take an approach where you go a little bit more easy on it, or you still, it doesn't matter the budget or the team or whatever, you still keep the same playing field?
You know what? I think as far as like uh aesthetically, like if I'm looking at like visuals and things like that, I may give like a smaller budget a pass on certain things. But as far
Yeah.
as like the whole package, I'm gonna give like my honest opinion. But I think for me, it's gonna be more so I'm not gonna trash it on social media. Because
Yeah.
you get a lot of people who at the directors and the producers, and it's
Oh,
like,
right,
you know,
yeah.
what were you doing here? What were you thinking?
Yeah.
You know, and you just Twitter fingers and all that, you know, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't really get into that. But I will give my honest opinion. Like if I'm watching something but I will say I'll tend to go harder on the bigger budgets.
Yeah.
Or if I
Yeah.
feel like, especially like if I see a movie with a smaller budget and what they were able to do, and then I
Yeah.
see you with a bigger budget, and I'm like, oh, you didn't even do the bare minimum.
Right.
You
Right.
know, just
I can
tried to
definitely agree
glide
with
by.
that.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. I can agree with that.
Yep. That's a great point. Now, we'll go ahead and get to my favorite indie horror film.
Okay.
And it's kind of like Tyrone, right? Like I feel like it does kind of shift from time to time, but I felt like for this conversation, like one of my favorites that I really wanted to highlight was the first Paranormal Activity.
Oh man, yeah.
Because
That's
that
a
was a
good one.
movie like, and I had to look it up real quick because I knew it was stupid low, but like that movie was made for 15,000, and like it went on to make crazy money, and it like recharged like the found footage genre, and like it was something people had never seen before, and like, and we'll get to this later in discussion. We'll talk about the Blair Witch Project, right? That was kind of like the OG found footage. Well,
Yeah.
one of the OGs. There's ones before that, but there's the one that really put it on the map. But it reinvigorated that
Yeah.
found footage genre, and people were almost like Blair Witch, like taking it to be real.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, this looks like super believable,
Mhm.
and it really like just kicked off that style of genuine, believable character and real like intimate setting. Like,
Yeah.
and like even that whole movie for the most part takes place in a single house, mostly in one room. That's where a lot of the big events happen, and like it just, to me, it's a great example showing of what you can do with not a lot of money and just like really, um, MacGyvering some different special effects stuff, keeping it simple. Really using the audio again, kind of like Skinamarink, like those like subtle bass vibrations and stuff like that. And then just allowing the performers to really sell the scare. To me, it's like just the ultimate example of that, and it's a movie I really love, because at the time, like it really did damage to me in terms of like being scared. Like that was one where I'm leaving the lights on. Like obviously no one, we already don't mess with Ouija boards and
Oh
stuff
heck
like
no.
that, but that's gonna risk a minute. But yeah, sleeping with the lights on, man, and like being re-scared about simple stuff. Like,
Yeah.
make sure the door don't move, the bed sheets ain't getting pulled. Like,
Right. Shoot,
and
I still sometimes like if my foot go a little bit off the edge, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
hold up.
Yep.
I gotta pull it back because I don't want nothing grabbing my foot.
Yep. And
But yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, and it just, and then obviously that franchise took off. It's
Yeah, it
got a
did.
ton of movies. They built a whole story with it. But it really like defined that era, and that like, it really like captured that moment in time. Like I still remember seeing it for the first time. I still remember seeing the ads for it where they actually, I don't know if anyone did it before, but I know for Paranormal Activity, I feel like it was the first time I was seeing it again. where they were showing audience reactions
Oh,
in
yeah.
the trailer for the
Right.
movie, and I was like, dang, like, you know, they're really selling the fact like this is one of the scariest movies you'll ever see. People were
Yeah.
terrified
Yeah.
of this film. So yeah, Paranormal Activity is a big favorite of mine. I really feel like it really shows like the potential like in horror and like what you can do with it, even in the most simplistic form. Like
Mhm.
this is a very raw movie that went off to really make a huge impact.
Yeah.
But Tyrone, what's your thoughts on the first Paranormal Activity?
You know what? Paranormal Activity, it was one of those ones that had to grow on me. Like when I first saw it, I was like, because people were hyping it up, like especially like a lot of these like found footage films, especially when they come out of nowhere, people are like, oh, it's the
Yeah.
scariest movie you'll ever see, and all this stuff. And I'm getting ready to get scared, and I'm just like, oh, this was cool. But over time, I've learned to appreciate the first one and the rest of them, for
Yeah,
what they
mhm.
are.
Yeah.
And especially, was it the marked ones? Like I
That's the
really, I
best
really
one.
Man, that's the
enjoyed
best
that.
That's the best.
one.
Hey, the marked
Yeah.
ones is
You know,
incredible. Yeah.
and I may be in the minority, but I really enjoyed the latest one, the
Uh,
one on Paramount
I think it's called
Plus.
Next of Kin or
Yeah,
something
Next
like
of
that.
Kin. Yeah,
Yeah.
really
Okay.
enjoyed that one. I found it to be like a better version of like, I don't know, it just gave me like midsummer type vibes or whatever. So I
Oh
was like,
right,
oh,
yeah,
this
because there's
looks,
out there. Yeah,
yeah, it's this, but I enjoyed it a little bit more than Midsummer. So.
I haven't even seen
that's
that.
that's kind of like a hot take right there. I don't think I ever heard somebody say that before. That's interesting. Okay, more than Miss Samar. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Did you like that movie?
I thought Miss Samar was pretty good. I don't know if I put Next to Kin above it though.
No,
I don't know
I
about
know.
that.
I'm like the only guy. I'm the only guy saying this, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, what's your thoughts, Bay, on
Oh,
Paranormal
Oh,
Activity?
yeah, that was a scary movie. I'm like you when I first saw. Well, I don't know if you felt like this, but other people, it seemed real.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I kind of think about Post, like the simple,
Right.
how something really simple can be really scary.
Yes. Yep.
I really like Toast. I should have put that on the list, but that was a really good movie.
Really good.
I forgot about that till just now.
Really good.
But yeah, so like the simplicity of it, just being like a genuine, scary movie, like it affected me like greatly, like in my personal life. Like I was scared about.
It was like this could really happen.
This could really happen.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, that was a good one. That was a good
one. Yeah. All right. Well, I had mentioned, in that when I brought up Paranormal Activity, I've mentioned, one of the goats of the found footage in the '90s film, The Blair Witch Project, and so, that was like, when that came out, that was a really big, like when we're talking about, oh, is this real or not? And so I wanted to get into a discussion about, it being one of the most notable indie releases. Like I think even people who weren't even, born around that time still know about the Blair Witch Project. And so I want to talk a little bit about like the movie itself and then kind of the marketing around it because, that was like the early internet age when that film came out.
Yeah.
And they were marketing it as if it was real. And because I don't know if y'all can remember like it, they actually made it seem like these people were missing.
Yeah, they had like missing posters.
Yeah.
They had the website, all that stuff. Like it was crazy.
Yeah. And it was like, dang, like this don't really happen. And even though it was filmed, it was like, it was like real. But I'll start with you, Tyrone. Kind of like, what's your thoughts on the movie itself? And then, like, did you have any personal experience with the marketing? And what are your thoughts on the marketing?
I mean, I thought the movie was pretty good, especially like when it first came out. Like, I was a child, like, the rest of us, and just, waiting to see a scary movie. And I saw it at the drive-in, and just that whole experience of these people walking through the woods and just the camera, the found footage aspect of it. And like you said, the marketing, I totally believed it. I totally like you could not tell me that was not real. I totally, and then you would have your naysayers in school, and it'd be like, oh, it's just people walking around in the dark with cameras, and someone standing there and
Right.
next to in the
Yep.
corner, and I'm just like, no, the witch is out there. She's out
Right.
there.
Yep.
And I think that's what probably killed this what was it, the sequel. Did they come out with a sequel, or am I mixing up?
I feel like they did.
Was that talking about the one that came out like recent?
The Book of
That-
Souls? Was it the Book of Souls? Or
Sounds
the
familiar.
Blair Witch?
I have to look
I
it
thought
up.
you might have
Yeah,
looked
yeah.
that
It's book. Yeah, I'll
That sounds really familiar.
up.
yeah, I think but it was, I just felt like they could have kept that feel, because for all intents and purposes, we could still have people walking around in the woods,
Yeah.
encountering, the Blair Witch.
Yeah,
So
that's true. For real.
it was a cultural phenomenon.
It really
It
was.
was definitely like lightning in the bottle, and probably like, is it the most successful like found footage film?
I feel like it is. I watched a documentary on found footage not too long ago, and I feel like that's what they said.
It's got to be between that or Paranormal Activity.
I think it was Blair Witch.
One of those two.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely one of those two. I know Paranormal Activity made a lot of money, especially
They
on
made
this
stupid
budget.
money.
They did.
Yeah, I looked up that sequel. It was called Book of Shadows.
Yeah,
Okay.
Book of Shadows.
Yep, came out in 2000.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen this before.
Me neither. I
They
never
were-
watched that.
They were pumping out them sequels, the Book of Shadows, then what was it, Carrie, The Rage, it was a
Mhm.
lot of
Yeah.
those like emo 90s
Yeah.
kids, sequels, black hair rinse,
Right.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
with the pentagrams and all that. Like,
Yes.
it was definitely a time.
Oh my goodness.
Now, babe, what's your thoughts on the Blair Witch? And you want to talk about your personal experiences with the marketing?
Well, I'll say back then it was super scary. I haven't watched it as an adult, I don't think. I'm trying to think. I might have, but I don't think I have. But anyways, I remember watching it when I was younger, and that movie scared the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And like you, Tyrone, nobody could tell me that it wasn't real. Like, I just knew these white folks was listening in the woods somewhere, and they had never found them. I mean, like it seems so authentic. Like, I've seen good acting, but the way that these people was acting in these woods, like,
It was good.
it was super good.
It was believable.
It was so believable.
Yep.
And I know that, main scene that everyone talks about when her nose is running. Like, how do you fake your nose running? Like, I feel like that was so authentic.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't yet to experience that experience again, where you feel like this is actual footage that you saw, that someone recorded and lost in the woods. But even like the story, like them interviewing the people, the townspeople, like all that stuff seems so real.
Right. Yep.
I don't know. But anyways, it definitely affected me. And I think I watched it multiple times too. Like, it was good to me.
Right.
Once I knew that it wasn't real.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I was at school too talking about it. We was pulling up the website in the computer. Back then we had a computer labs,
Mhm. That's where the computers were.
And
yeah, you had your own personal
you
laptop.
didn't have no personal
Your
laptop.
computer lab.
Computer
so we would have to pull up stuff in the computer labs.
Yep.
And sneak and do it, because really you had to do work on like floppy disks and stuff like that. It was
Yep.
only certain things we were supposed to do. So, and we didn't have no bars on the internet back then. So, we have an older daughter, and so she's always complaining about how in school you can't go to YouTube and stuff like that. But back then we didn't have
no
those.
blocks.
We didn't have no
Yeah.
blocks,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, you could just go to whatever.
Yep.
So we was pulling up the website, trying to prove to our friends that this was legitimate. Like, these people
Yeah.
were actually missing.
Mhm.
It was super well done marketing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what their intentions were coming out the gate, but they succeeded very well
Yeah.
in getting people to come to the theater to watch that movie.
Yeah, and I feel like that's another big thing with indie horror, especially with this film, is like the word of mouth, like people talking about it.
Right.
Is really what's getting people to go watch it. You know what I'm saying? You got the people in the camp that's like, oh, it's real. Like, it's like a
Mhm.
documentary. You gotta go see this. You
Yeah.
got people in other camp who just gonna go see it just to disprove
Right.
that it's not real and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the genius of the marketing, to get people talking.
That word of mouth is something else.
Yes.
Like, I look at I don't know if you noticed this on TikTok. This was a while ago, maybe a couple months ago, where someone made up a movie and then people were like trying to find this movie. That she was like saying, "Oh, this movie is like the most crazy movie ever, and it's so hard to find." And then everybody started trying to
Really?
find it, like, but it doesn't exist. She made it up, and then other people started making TikToks doing the same thing, right, to try to get people to go look for it. But the movie doesn't exist, right? They made it up.
Wow.
But it's just the thing of telling someone this is the most extreme, this is the
Right.
most scary. Like everybody wants to take part in that. Like,
Yep.
well, I got to see this if it's the scariest. Like, you know, that's just crazy how things spread like that. But I
Right.
thought that was super funny.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. That's like we just said, that word of mouth, man.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game.
For
Now,
sure.
one thing I did want to mention with the Blair Witch Project, let me know what y'all think about this. I feel like the Blair Witch Project was also a good example of the things you can't see being scarier
Oh yeah.
than what you can see. And Skinamarink is another example of that, where you can't
Yes.
see
Yeah.
what's
I
going
think
on.
you had a conversation like sometimes Tyrone asks questions. Did you ask this question before? I feel like you did.
Well, yeah,
Like seeing the monster or something like that.
yeah. I think I had asked a Black Horror Survivor. I was talking with him, but it's the importance of like sometimes not seeing the monster,
Mhm.
Right.
all the time, because it's cool sometimes. Like we're watching Cloverfield, we see big monster walking through, the city or Godzilla or whatever. But sometimes it's that, like, what's in your head, like what can you
Mhm.
conjure up in your head, especially like in tense moments, which I feel like
Yep.
what makes like a movie like Skinamarink effective for those who it's effective
Yeah.
for. It's because we're seeing all these sorts of things in our mind, and we're like, okay, the music's playing, this light's flickering
Mhm.
over here, this thing's moving over here. Like what's
Right.
going to go on in my what's happening in my brain, and sometimes like if we do see the monster, it ends up looking like what was that movie, the one where the mama,
Oh,
we got,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no, which I it was a cool movie, but I saw the monster and I'm like, yeah, I didn't
It
need
takes
it.
it takes it down a notch.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, another movie kind of like that is that one, like
Which one?
Darkness something.
What, Darkness Falls?
I didn't like the way that, because you couldn't see anything for a long time, and then when you finally see it, I feel like it was like
You talking about Darkness Falls?
I think so.
Because I mean, you always seen her. Or
Maybe it's not that
I
one.
think you might be
It was a
talking
different
about
one.
something else. Then
What is it then?
he says a movie that I like.
Yeah, but I can't remember. No, because Darkness Falls is the Tooth Fairy one.
Yeah, it's the Tooth
Okay,
Fairy
no,
one.
it's not that
Yeah.
one. It's another one. Never mind. I don't remember what one it is
Oh,
now.
okay.
I'll have to remember. I'll think about it. But anyways, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That when you can't see what it is, your mind fills in that blank where it's like, oh, it's imagine the most horrific
Yeah.
thing ever. It can't even fathom like how terrifying whatever it
Right.
is in that dark space might be. That's another big thing with Skinamarink, man. It just shows that black hallway
You expected
and that
something
voice is coming on.
Yeah.
You're just like, man, I don't know what's beyond that shadow. It's the scariest shit. Like I can ever imagine. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But yeah, so that's the Blair Witch, y'all. Well, I mean, shoot, man, we've been talking about indie horror for a little bit. I think we can go ahead and like wrap it up, kind of give like our final thoughts about indie horror. So I'll pass it over to you, Tyrone. Like, any final thoughts you want to give the listeners about indie horror? Any suggestions on indie horrors they should go watch? And then anything else you want to add?
You know what? I'm gonna say release your prejudices, because I feel like a lot of folks, including myself at one point, had a lot of prejudices concerning like indie horror, especially indie horror overseas. There's a lot of
Oh,
stuff
right, yeah.
that you're
Mhm.
shutting yourself out of, so I feel like some recommendations. I recommend It Follows. If you have not seen It Follows,
Good
definitely
one.
check that one out. That's a
They
great
got a
one.
sequel coming out too.
Yes.
Yep.
And I
I think it's
love it.
called They Follow. Something like that.
They
Yeah.
follow.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's what it's called. Yeah.
And then the VHS franchise, which
Yep.
took me by surprise, and I just absolutely fell in love with. Also, what is it? The Creep. It's called Creep. Creep
Oh
1 and
yeah,
2.
on Netflix.
We
Yeah,
talked about
That's
that
a
yeah.
one
good one.
earlier.
That one is, well, those two are just like very unsettling, and
Yeah.
it's just, it's just fun, and it's, you can see it's cheaply made. They didn't spend a lot of money on it, but it was very,
Yeah.
very, very effective to the point where, it stays with you, for days and days. So I would say, just when you see your little indie, horror movie
Yeah.
make its way into the theaters, give it a shot, give it your coin, because sometimes you're going to be surprised and you're going to be like, oh, I love this. Like, I think the most recent one for me that I saw, like, uh, well, recently was, well, that wasn't like When Evil Lurks, was Creep. I mean, no, not Creep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, not Creep. Cobweb. Cobweb.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Cobweb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I really, really enjoyed, and that was a nice one, that entered in before the spooky, season to digest that up. So, just don't
Yeah.
don't let a different camera, deter you, or don't let different sound, or, oh, the lighting isn't like the lighting in this James Wan film, or, the lighting isn't like the lighting in this Stephen King film,
Right.
because
Yeah.
sometimes these indie movies are way better and more effective than, the bigger budgets, because they're working with raw passion, and
Exactly.
a lot of the times it's because of that passion that they put in, it spins something more beautiful off. Like, we wouldn't get the whole Evil Dead universe without them putting that indie
Yeah.
blood into
Yep.
the universe. So,
Yep. That's right. That's right.
Love it.
Any final thoughts for you, babe, about and suggestions as well?
Well, I will just say my final thoughts are to support indie horror. I've already said earlier, like I have that heart for
Yeah.
smaller teams. Like I want to see people, creators more specifically. I like to see creators succeed, and especially within the horror genre because it's a lot to us. But it's also like a way to express yourself, push those boundaries. And I feel like, mainstream horror is super like boxed in, super cookie cutter. Like
Mm-hmm.
you kind of know what to expect when you go to the theater most of the time when you watch a horror movie. Um, but in order for the genre to actually evolve and grow, it's going to take more indie horror creators and then people to go support those work. Um, so yeah, that's my final thoughts. And if you're interested in some suggestions, I'm gonna say go to check out our blog post that will be up with this podcast, and I'll have some suggestions there for you.
There you go.
Yes, I'll have some special Evil Tyrone suggestions and some special AJ suggestions and my own, and I'll have them out there for you guys. So definitely go check that out when you're done. Listen to the podcast.
Yeah, and I pretty much second everything that y'all both said. Like, indie horror is important. That's where a lot of the creative ideas come from, the creative concepts. That's where you're getting a lot of the special things that will end up, shifting into the bigger budget movies. Things start in the indie horror, and then they progress. These other franchises, these big budget movies, and so on. And that's where a lot of people get their start. They start doing, the weird, the quirky, the crazy concepts. Because we have mentioned Midsommar, and then you got things like Hereditary. I think it's all Ari Aster, and Ari Aster did that insane, art school film. What's the other joint called?
Something about the Johnsons.
Yes,
Yeah.
that shit is
Oh.
like that
Dude.
is on like a whole different level. You know what I'm saying? That might be one of the most crazy. There's no blood or gore or nothing.
Yeah.
But it's still horror, a short
It's still
horror
very
film,
horrifying.
and it is
Yeah.
crazy. But as far as like suggestions, some things that I can think about that I watched within the last year. There's a film on, I think it's on Amazon, called Glorious. It all takes place pretty much in like a bathroom, and it's the main stars.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's with Ryan Quanten or something, like I forgot his name, something like Ryan something. J.K. Simmons voices this being that's in this stall, and he's talking to Ryan's character.
Okay, yeah,
and like
yeah,
the
yeah.
story, he says he's a cosmic being, and the story kind of evolves from there. 'Cause you're trying to figure out, okay, like, is this real? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? And it's super like, it's wild. So check that one out. And then, Blumhouse does a lot of these like small movies on MGM Plus, right? We watched one recently. What was that one called where, she lost her glasses and she had to talk to that gas station clerk through the
what
phone?
is the name of that movie?
Was it like Unseen?
Unseen.
Is it Unseen?
Yes, that was a good one.
Have you heard of that, Tyrone? Unseen?
No. Listen, as soon as you said she lost her glasses and had to talk to that
Oh, you already knew.
phone, I'm looking it up. I'm gonna add it to my
It's
list.
so interesting. Yeah. You gotta watch that one. I'm not even going. Don't mention it. Don't say nothing about it. Just go watch it. Don't even read the description. Just click on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's over on. I think
right,
it's
I'm
on
sold.
MGM Plus, and because they do it like they have like a bunch of like Blumhouse originals. Or,
Yeah.
I forgot what they call them. Something specific.
It's a part of a collection.
It's like a collection of like indie Blumhouse movies from small creators. They have we just watched another one recently called what's that one called? Kids. There's something about the children.
Oh,
I think that's in that same category.
Children.
Something wrong with the children. That was another cool one. But that Unseen one is really good, y'all. Check that one out. But then for our listeners, like let us know, like in the comments or on any of our social media, what are some of your favorite indie horror films? What do you suggest? Let us know, because we'd all love to see something we maybe haven't. It's not on our radar, not on our list. We love to hear about it and then go watch it. Now, before we close out, Tyrone, I want to pass over to you to let us know and our listeners know. Like, are you working on anything special that's coming up? Are you writing anything? And then let the listeners know where they can find you.
Well, thank y'all for inviting me on the show. It's been an honor, to get to chop it up with you both. I'm huge fans of you both, and I respect everything that you do, and it's just awesome to see some Black love representation in the horror genre. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, you can check me out, at TheEvolTyrone on YouTube, doing the discussions, doing more discussions, and also doing more interviews, and I'm quietly working on other things as far as like writing, uh some other things as well. Like me too, even though like you say indie, we want to see more indie horror directors and stuff like that. So like one of my goals is to get a film out there, and just to
That'd be
see
dope.
see how the people receive it, and just how it marinates, but
definitely
yeah, it's just I guess just me working more with the horror community, and just spotlighting more people of color, and just having fun, just making a bigger and safer space for horror, which is that's why we're all here at the end of the day.
Right.
Yep.
Love it.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Tyrone.
definitely. Thank you so much for joining us on this discussion, man. It's been dope. It's been a pleasure to sit here and talk with you about, all things indie horror. Make sure y'all go check out TheEvolTyrone. He, told you where to find him. Go check him out. Go follow. Go subscribe. Again, it's been dope, man. We appreciate you coming on. And to our listeners, make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, do all those things. Subscribe to us. Subscribe to Tyrone. And it's been dope, man. Hopefully, our listeners and our viewers enjoyed everything about this discussion. I will definitely have to do it again sometime for sure, man.
Oh yeah. I'm down.
Yep. All right, y'all. It's been In Love with Horror, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.